You can see what a jam I'm in.
Yes, I know you're in a terrible jam. But the one thing you're not going to do is to run away. That never does any good. After all, you've got to take yourself with you, and it's yourself that counts. You are far more important than the trouble you're in. I know it seems unfair to you. You've paid for it, and it ought to be completely forgotten. You've owned up and paid up, but now you've got to face up to yourself. The way you're taking it, it looks like the end of things. But if you face up to it now, it'll make a new man of you. Why, lots of folks have faced up to far worse troubles than yours and got through them. I know the case of a man who was in a far worse jam than you are, and yet he came through it all right.
I'm never very happy about leaving money in the office overnight. I think I'd better take it along to the bank.
Nonsense. Both the lads are all right, and nobody else knows about the money. Besides, you'll need it in the morning.
Very well, sir.
Well, good night, Barnes.
Good night, sir.
Good night, boys. Now, don't be mad.
How's it going?
Rather slowly, I'm afraid.
Can't you finish off first thing in the morning?
No, but don't worry. Another hour will see me through, and I'm quite willing to stay on, you know.
I see. You think that's necessary?
I'm afraid it is. I have worked overtime before, you know.
Yes, of course. Oh, very well, if you must. I shall be in here if you want me.
Come in. Oh, hello, Gaynor. Do you want to see me?
Sir, I want to leave.
To leave? Why? Sit down, my boy, and tell me. Have you had a better offer?
No, sir.
Well, why?
Well, sir, I'm very much upset. I've worked here for 2 years, and I persuaded myself that my past, the fact that I'd been in prison, was forgotten. Last night I had to work late, and just because there was some money in the safe, Mr. Brown stayed here to watch me, on guard over me. Well, oh, what's the use? I'll never live it down. I thought I was trusted. I'll have to get right away, I suppose. I'll go abroad if I can. It's the only thing that's left for me.
Oh, my dear boy, don't talk like that. We've all of us done things of which we're ashamed. We can't run away from our own acts. No, there's only one way to deal with such a past. Face it squarely.
Now, you see what I mean. I know the fellow in the story had someone around who understood. Your trouble seems to be that you have no one around like that. But look here, don't you think we are tending rather to God out of this altogether? No one can understand as he does. Our friends only know half our stories. They see only what's done. They know nothing of the struggles we make. But God knows. And the important thing for you to remember is that because you have owned up and asked forgiveness, so far as God is concerned, the whole thing is completely washed out. In fact, it's as if it had never been. You talk of a new start in fresh surroundings. What you really need is to bring a new outlook on the place you're in now. Listen, here's an incident that may help to explain what I mean. It's a story about a man who did something with his house.
I'm afraid this junk was left behind.
Was this used as a living room?
The owner's room, by all accounts. The rest of the house is let off. He himself lived up here.
Was he so poor?
When he died, I understand he only left the house. His relatives were bitterly disappointed, I believe. May I look out? By all means. Be careful of the cobwebs. Well, there's nothing wrong with the roof, you know.
I wasn't looking at that.
You've quoted your lowest figure. Yes, I have indeed. Oh, thank you. You see, with present-day prices...
Right, it's a deal.
What? Oh, forgive me. I had the impression you didn't care for the house.
But I do. I want it. I shall make a few minor alterations, of course.
But up here? Well, it's perfectly charming. I'd never thought it possible.
Have a look at the view.
Yes, I will. Quite breathtaking.
It is nice, isn't it?
This is why you bought the house. I never thought of such a transformation.
Nor did the previous owner, poor fellow. You know, I can picture him sitting here in the gloom, checking his money, when all the time, just for the sake of a few pounds, why, he could have had all this. It's so short-sighted. Pathetic.
Pathetic.
You see, what that man did with his house, God can do with any man, and that includes you. The Bible calls it being saved. But whatever name you call it by, it is true, and it does really happen. When things go wrong, people shout for new methods, new equipment, new approaches. But the only real solution is not in new systems, but new selves. And that goes for governments, churches, and clubs, as well as individuals. It goes for your problem, too. You go back to the old situation, but don't leave God out of it. He is able and willing to make you a new man in it, and he'll never let you down.